Hey, welcome to Jeremy Snell's recruitment training. If you're looking to deepen your capabilities, if you're seeking to improve your productivity and your performance, this is the channel for you. In every episode, I will unpack practical and tactical things that you can do to help you to think with greater clarity, make better decisions, and ultimately make more money. Feel free to subscribe, feel free to like and to comment. And now let's get on with today's topic. Hey people, here we are, we are ready, we are together. I think you're here, I'm here. It's time for us to build the fifth in our series of AI assistants. So this journey started quite a while ago, right? This is week number 6 that we've been doing this. We began a journey where I said that what I intended to do was join you live once per week on LinkedIn, and I will share with you an AI assistant that I've built with a custom GPT that I feel would add extreme value to a recruiter, not just to help them to be able to do admin or save time, but actually things that are designed to help them to generate revenue and to make more money. I feel that we have looked at different ways to be able to do that across the different GPTs that we've done so far. I feel like I've saved maybe the best till last. I've really enjoyed building this one. I certainly enjoy using it personally. Who we're building today, what we're building today, this is Myra, right? Myra is the desk coach. Myra is the assistant that everybody needs in their pocket to help them to be able to navigate the challenges that we face, to celebrate the victories, to autopsy success, to do all of the things that a good coach should be able to help us to do. As with all of these GPTs, people, there is a guidebook. The guidebook here is the guide on how to be able to get the most out of the GPT. What I've made sure that I've done here is to give explicit instructions on how you can converse, how you can prompt to be able to get the most out of her. What also exists is the entire book of prompts, and these are the prompts that I used to be able to build Myra, and I share all of those prompts with you too. You'll see in the ticker, it says join the free AI hub, www.ai4recruiters.co.uk. If you're not there, go there now. Get yourself a login. It's totally free. You'll see that there is an archive of every recording, of every live session, of every build. There is a library of PDFs with all of the prompts that are associated with each of the AI assistants. There are 5 of them in total. It may not be that all 5 of them float your boat. That's cool. Select the ones that you feel will be most valuable and do something with them, people. So hi, if you've joined, you're here, you're present. I haven't started to do anything yet in terms of showcasing Myra. It would be great if you have been present on some of the previous sessions, if you've had the opportunity to do some building work. Let me know in the comments, people. Give me some feedback. Let me know who you've been building. Let me know what you've done with it. Let me know what kind of things it has revealed for you. Give me your thoughts on what we've done. This is the last session, right? If there is an opportunity for me to be able to get a little bit of feedback from you, show me the love now, right? Show me in the chat. Is that all right? Greatly appreciate it. You've seen that there is, or I hope that you've recognized that there's been work done in the background to be able to bring this to you. I hope what you've also recognized is I've done nothing to try and hide anything, to create secret pockets of things that you're going to need to get access to in the future. This is open, this is transparent, this is a full build. I've really enjoyed it. It's been good for my soul. So people, talk to me. Let me know what you've done. Let me know where you've been. Let me know which of these agents and assistants have been most valuable to you. Let me redact the use of the word agent. That was incorrect. The assistants that I've shared with you. Sincerely, most genuinely, I'd love to know. Let's have a look at Myra. So Myra is a desk coach. Now, as an L&D professional, I guess that is one of the reasons why I find her to be my favorite. You know, I'm an L&D person in my core, you know, recruiter, L&D, that's me, right? And I think that's what I've brought to the table with all of these AI builds that I've been sharing. I've taken what I would consider to be an above average understanding of recruitment, I've taken what I would consider to be a very logical way to be able to approach things that initially may feel sophisticated or challenging. And then I've been able to create a process to share with others my understanding in a way that I hope comes across as being simple without being dumbed down, and clear, so that you feel the progress of being able to do something with it. That's been the intention. That's been the goal anyway, right? So Myra's a coach. So that means that Myra is not a trainer, right? It's not that Myra is going to train you to do your job. Myra is going to help coach you to be able to ask you the right questions so that you can access the knowledge that you've got. Coaching is something that takes place after training. Training is something that delivers knowledge. Coaching helps to be able to pull knowledge in the context of different situations to start to become more adept at being able to deal with the transfer of knowledge into behavior, and behaviors into practice, and practice into results. So what Myra will do is she will ask you the right questions to help to be able to unpick your knowledge, to help to be able to challenge your thinking processes, to ask you some of the tougher questions so that you can then go and seek the answers. So I'll bring Myra up on screen, right? I'll show you what she is able to do. I'm going to go to a screen share, and as I bring Myra up, we'll get the weird little fractal thing, which is that. That means that that's my indicator to go to my GPT. So here you can see Myra, the desk coach. So Myra, the desk coach, performance coach who listens, questions, and guides recruiters to self-realization. I'm going to show you what Myra looks like out of the box, as it were. So this is based upon the use of the core prompts that I've shared in the guidebook and in the prompt book at aiforrecruiters.co.uk. There is a second version that I'm going to show you, and then there is a third version that I'm going to show you, each of which becomes an opportunity for you to enhance or bespoke or upgrade your version of Myra to become the working model that you would most want to have at your disposal. So at the moment, I'm showing you Myra on my desktop. I'm going to increase the power of Myra momentarily by showing you Myra on my mobile. But what I'd like to be able to do is just to make sure that everyone's with me, that we can start to see what she can do. So here in the prompt, so I'm just going to say, can we talk? You don't have to begin with that. You could start with anything, right? You could start with a moan if you wanted. But if I start with, can we talk? Myra now does the thing that the GPT will do. It goes to the data lake. The data lake is all of the content that's been shared in terms of materials. We'll also go to the configuration, which is the build, and the build is the work that we've done. And the first thing that Myra is doing is recognizing in the configuration is to ask the question, is this something that you want to have a quick chat about to get an immediate result? Or are you feeling a bit stuck and want to explore something more fully? So already it's giving you that option to say, hey, do you want something pretty fast and loose, or do you want something which is going to be a little more ingrained and a little bit more embedded? So for the moment, I'm just going to put quick chat. And as I put quick chat, we now move to the second part of the process. What's the one thing that's on your mind right now that you might want to ask to talk about? So I'm going to say, I'm feeling anxious about the number of jobs I am working on that are dragging into next year. So I can now give it a little explanation as to where I feel I'm at. And we can see now we've got some text which is appearing. Thanks for saying that out loud. Anxiety makes a lot of sense in agency life, especially at this point in the year. Let's slow it down for a moment. Myra now starts to ask some questions. You see, Myra isn't giving any advice here. Myra's not telling me what to do. Myra is asking the questions to help me to go through a process of working out what are the things that matter to me the most and how am I going to be able to deal with it. So Myra's ability to be able to pay attention, to be able to converse, to be able to adopt a coaching style is all embedded in the prompts that I've shared with her. If I reset Myra for a second, and I said I was going to show you how she can really come to life, I'm going to come back to my screen so I can remove my share for a moment, because I'm going to use my phone. And when I use my phone to do this, let me find my chat GPT. I'm now going to talk to Myra. So if I hold my phone up to the screen, what I trust you can see is there's the little box where you would type. To the right hand side, there was the microphone icon, which is dictation. To the right of that again, this is voice mode. So I've created a config for Myra, which includes how to be able to deal with voice activation and conversations, so that it becomes a far more natural process. As I was building Myra, what I found was when I was typing my thoughts, I was asking my questions, it didn't feel as natural as if Myra were sat with me. So I'm now going to use the voice activation so that you can feel the difference. Hey, Myra, could we have a conversation, please?
Absolutely. We can definitely have a conversation. Before we dive in, let me just ask, is this more of a quick solution you're after, or are you looking to dig a bit deeper into something bigger? Just so I know how to pace us.
Let's go with a quick conversation.
All right. Let's keep this nice and tight and focused then. I'll just ask you a couple of short questions to help you get clarity quickly. Sound good? And before we jump in, which voice would you like me to use today? Logical counsel, emotional confidant, challenger, or balance coach?
Could we go with challenger, please?
Absolutely. Understood. Challenger mode engaged. All right, let's cut straight to it and keep things moving. So go ahead, hit me with that quick question and we'll dive right in.
Yeah, I'm starting to feel a little bit worried and anxious about clients that are hesitating on making decisions this week and next week and already talking about waiting until the new year. I know that I should be pushing a little bit harder. I'm just not quite sure how to be able to do that without upsetting the relationship that exists.
All right, let's cut through that hesitation right away. Here's the deal. The avoidance pattern here is waiting on them to feel comfortable instead of pushing for a concrete next step. If you don't challenge them a bit, you're basically letting them slip into delay mode, and that's on you. So I'm going to push you here. Name one concrete action you can take right now to get at least one of those clients off the fence. Let's hear it.
Okay, so I'm just exiting the conversation. So now that I exit the conversation, we can see that everything that we've discussed is in text. I can go back to my desktop. I'd be able to see everything which has been annotated. So in real time, I'm having a conversation with my coach, and my coach is asking me questions. You heard Myra ask me, what mode would you like to go to? Logical counsel, emotional confidant, challenger, or balanced coach? And I chose challenger. So as I chose challenger, it changes the coaching parameters. It changes the tone of voice. It changes the way in which the coach is designed to support me. If I go to challenger and I then decide, you know what, I want to flip this and I want it to become more of a balanced coach, we can move from coach to coach. So there are 4 coach voices which are in this. Each of those 4 coach voices, I developed the coaching style, and I've developed the content that they use to help them to stay true to that style by creating personas. And I'll share with you a moment the prompts that I've created for those personas. But what we've now got is a coach that, you've seen me using that in my phone. I could have my AirPods in. I could be out on a dog walk. I can start talking to my coach. My coach could be asking me some questions. I could be responding to those questions. My coach is keeping notes. It is annotating the chat so that the moment that I get back from my dog walk, the moment that I decide I'm now done, the coaching session is over, it's there. It's scripted. It's transcripted. It's ready for me to be able to access, or it's all in my head. We've gone through the coaching process and I've arrived at a point of resolution. So I feel the power of having that in my pocket, the ability to be able to bounce ideas off somebody else who has got a structured approach to coaching. I think that's I think that that's really valuable. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on what I've just shared there. If you've got any questions about the build, I'm going to open the Chat GPT and I'll show you the build that I've done. This is number 5, right? So I'm not going to go through the process of doing all of the cut and paste. What I am going to do is I'm going to show you the prompts that I've used that I would consider to be the layers in which we're building out Mira, and then from that start to look at how we can make this a little more bespoke, how we can start to create a dedicated version which is for you. And you know that thing, love the voice options. The voice thing's great. I so love the voice part. I feel that this one, like all of the others, typey, perfectly fine. This one, talky. Apologies if it was a little muted because it's coming out of the speaker of my phone into my microphone and yada all the way to you. But I hope that you get the gist of it, right? Being able to have a real-time conversation with a voice. So much more engaging and so much more rewarding, in my opinion, than typing my thoughts, having thoughts typed back, then having to read those thoughts and process them into speaking. It delays the whole thing. It removes some of the naturalness of good quality coaching because we suddenly put a keyboard between us and our emotions and our sentiments and our thoughts. And if you've ever got frustrated because you know what you want to type and you just can't keep up with it, being able to talk to that agent, I think, is a beautiful thing. Right, so let me show you some elements of this build. So I'm going back to adding this stage. Here we go in the GPT. So here is Mira, the desk coach. This one is Mira, the desk coach, the copy, and this one is Mira, the objection coach. So I built Mira, and then I made a copy of Mira, which is called Mira, the copy. And then I made a copy of Mira, the copy, which is called Mira, the objection coach. So I now have 3 different versions. I only had to do the major build once. Build Mira a single time. Duplicate. The second duplication, that's where I chose to give it the 4 optional tones of voice. So out of the box, Mira has 1 single tone of voice, and that is balanced coach. That is the default. After I had created Mira with the balanced voice, I started to think about, well, there may be instances where I need to feel a little bit more challenged, or I need to have more empathy presented to me to understand the emotional aspects of what we're talking about, or I need something which is more logical because I'm getting too emotional. So we now have a logical voice, we have an emotional voice, we have a challenger voice, and we have a balanced coach. We now have 4 tones of voice. I added those 4 tones to Mira, the copy. In the set of prompts, you have both. So you could build Mira as is. You could build Mira with the 4 tones of voice. And then there is another version, which is Mira, the objection coach. And I'll get to Mira, the objection coach in a moment. If I show you the prompts, as with all of the prompts that we've used, we start with a basic prompt. Prompt number 1 is telling the custom GPT, this is what you are going to be. You can see it's relatively light. It's only 122 words. It creates a frame of context for the GPT as we build it. So this is prompt number 1 that is then rapidly followed up with prompt number 2. Prompt number 2 is the core persona. The core persona that we have here, this is the balanced coach persona. And what I've defined here is a background and worldview, a commercial orientation, a psychological bias, the tone of voice and the communication rules, signature coaching structures that I want the person to be able to use, examples of phraseology, personality anchors, behavioral directives for the GPT. And you can see number 1, coach, don't instruct. You see, there are many managers who work in recruitment who think that they're coaching their team when they're telling them what to do. That's not coaching. That is telling. At best, it's called training. Coaching, we guide through questions and reflection. And then we have balance of empathy, we have contextualization of insights, and then finally a summary. So this is a more extensive prompt. This is getting close to being 700 words. Having put in prompt 1 and prompt number 2, I then click create, and it will create the beginning of the DNA of Myra. Now that we've started to create it, we can add the additional prompts. It is relatively light in terms of prompts because we've got a total of 9 things that we're sharing, 8 prompts and a PDF. Prompt number 3, this is the systems brief. So this is the briefing for the system that is the working engine that sits behind the visible coaching which is taking place. This is, again, getting on for 600 words. We can see that I'm defining 2 ways of working with branch logic. Branching logic is there is a light version and there is deep mode, which is why she asked me the question, do you want to have a quick chat or do you want to go deeper? So how she presents it is different from how I've instructed it into the wireframe of the system. Because I want it to feel as though it is conversational, it is less likely to use the labeling of the technical aspects that I'm creating because I've given it the language that I want it to be able to use, and good user responses which would help it to decide, is deep mode or light the right one? We've got the system responses, we have the emotional calibration process, we then have the parameters and how to be able to make a transition to the right mode, which included some pseudo coding. The coding is a quicker way to be able to get the GPT to behave with exact behaviors rather than descriptors. So I went for an element of coding here to help to make that a little bit easier. And then we've got a summary. Everyone good with this? You don't have to have copied this thing. It sits inside a book, which is inside AI for recruiters.co.uk. Go there. All of these prompts are there for you to take forever. And if you want to adapt and you want to amend, you go for it. But I would recommend build Myra with exactly the same prompts as I have, then start to experiment and then decide how would I like her to change her behaviors. And then you can start to create alternate instructions. As you build the alternate instructions, make a copy because you don't have to start all over again. Build Myra, experiment, decide what upgrades you want to do, make copy, do upgrades. If upgrades don't work, delete copy, go back to original, copy, and keep doing the copies of the original builds. Because once you've got a build that you're happy with, duplicating it is far better with the button duplicate than trying to rebuild it from scratch, because it is very hard, even with prompt after prompt being exactly the same, to create an exact facsimile of what you'd originally built. Then when we get into prompts number 4 and 5, we have a description and an operating system for light mode, which was the first of the dichotomies, the branching. We have a prompt which is for deep mode and how to behave in deep mode. Again, both of these are content rich prompts. Both are knocking on the door of being 600 words. It takes a bit of work to be able to build these things, people, and there's been some severe trials and errors on my journey to developing Myra. And then when we look at prompt number 6 I've called optional upgrade. Optional upgrade, this is the upgrade that starts to establish the intent and then recognize that there could be 4 different personas. So you'll see here that logical counsel, or one hopes that you can see. Let me zoom in a little bit. So I started with saying I want the voice DNA to be a mixture of Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Spock. And for emotional confidant, the voice DNA is a blend of Oprah Winfrey, Princess Diana, and Ernest Hemingway. For the challenger, we have a combination of David Frost, Gordon Ramsay, and Ruby Wax. And for the balanced coach, we have the centered executive coach, which has already been defined in the wireframe. You could go to town and you could create your own versions of a coach, right? You could decide number 5 would be Elvis Presley. And Elvis Presley is going to be a laissez-faire coach who helps you to be able to throw caution to the wind. And as you start to define the tone of voice and those behaviors, for me to say this is going to be a bit of Oprah Winfrey, a bit of Princess Diana, a bit of Ernest Hemingway, that's not enough. I'm relying too much on the machine to then decide how would these people coach somebody. Which is why prompt number 7, which is the full optional personas, this is where I've started to define those personas. So I've defined Marcus Aurelius. and how Marcus is going to behave. I have defined the construction engine for that. I've defined Dr. Spock. I've defined, let me see if I can find. The emotional confidant, right? The voice DNA of Oprah Winfrey, witness and validation engine, embodying her capacity to see and name human experiences without judgment, creating psychological safety through presence, not reassurance, and validate emotional experience without endorsing helplessness. These are quite rich personas, people. And because these personas are rich, it removes the GPT's desire to go and define it because we've already given it to it. One of my experiences of working with custom GPTs and LLMs in general, they do tend to be a little bit lazy. They'll do as little work as possible because they're protecting tokens. So if you do the work for them and say, here's the stuff, it feels less need to either hallucinate or to go and gather other things. So these extensive personas here, we're over 2,000 words here to define these personas. That's what helps to be able to create the richness of the experience for the user. And then the final prompt, tiny little prompt, 66 words. And this is a prompt that we then upload and we share with a PDF. So I've put here, here's a framework I use to coach people when preparing for a meeting. Could be for a negotiation, dealing with a sticky situation, dealing with a complaint, going on a sales meeting, or a request from a customer. And it's a universal checklist. The universal checklist has now become the grounding for much of the coaching that takes place on behalf of all of the personas. And if I get rid of this and we look at this PDF, we can see here is the checklist. Here are the questions. Here are the reasons why we ask these questions. That little prompt with this PDF. So when we go to add it to the GPT, I feel the need now to go to my GPT. If I go to Myra, the objection coach, and I edit Myra, the coach. Remember, people, left-hand side, we now have a split screen. Left-hand side, this is building. Right-hand side, this is testing. So if I want to add something here as a file, this little plus sign, I can now go and find my file. And when I can go and find my file, I can say attached file is designed to help you to do this with coaching, as per the 66-word prompt. Here is the file. The file then gets saved in the configuration. The guide notes that go with it get saved in the configuration. And we now have everything built so that we can have a choice. Run with Myra, single tone of voice. Run with Myra, 4 tones of voice. Run with Myra and just use 2 of the tones of voice, right? Totally up to you. Run with Myra and go hog wild and decide I'm going to add 3 more tones of voice. Maybe even you take 3 managers in your business who've got different styles and you take the tone of voice of each. So you do some work to be able to review what their tone of voice is by following the activities that were from session 1 to build your tone of voice. And then you could create a coaching engine where employees could choose to be coached by a different person in the business. It could be that your contract recruitment legend becomes a coach and your perm recruitment legend becomes a coach and the founder becomes a coach, and we utilize their tones of voice. Remember though, what we are using as coaching is a questioning model, not a telling model. We're not taking their intellectual property so that they now know how to do contract recruitment, unless we wish to upgrade further, which is why Myra, the objection coach, is different. So with Myra, the objection coach, if I go to my PDFs and I jump to this particular PDF here. So this PDF is, what is this PDF? This is a 31-page PDF. This is material that sits inside Rookie to Recruiter. And this is the objection handling field guide. The objection handling field guide creates a full, definitive, this is how to get better at dealing with fob-offs and objections in the real world with real skills and real processes. You can see, if I zoom in a little bit, it talks about tonality and the importance of using tonality and the 10 different tones that we train people to use. It talks about tonality in action, how to be able to ask different questions framed with different tonality. So because the hello me, because the PDF is so content rich, we can now take the PDF and we can go to our GPT and we can add it as a file, which is what I did with Myra, the objection coach. And with Myra, the objection coach, I've called her the objection coach because I've added one file, the 31-page guide to dealing with objections. You can build a library of your own source materials and start to add them into your GPT up to, and I'll need to cite myself here, I think maximum of 20 files. I think I need to double check that, partly because OpenAI keeps changing these things, but also I keep forgetting. I need to write it down. So as we decide, right, I want actually to be a coach who coaches me on a specific task. Here is my source material. Here is my data library. If I didn't give it the objection handling guide, it might accidentally decide, you know what, I'm going to go and find someone else's material. And that material might turn out to be inferior. That material may actually turn out to be so old-fashioned, it's still teaching people the same objection handling processes as people were learning in the 90s and the 2000s. So I'd much rather say here, this is the gold. This is the good stuff. This is the data lake that I want you to use. So you can build your coach to become more and more explicit in terms of how it deals with specific scenarios, specific skills. In this instance, the objection coach. It may be that in your business, let me just sort something out here. It may be that in your business, for example, you have a focus in Q1, which is all about job qualification. And you decide, right, as a business, we're going to do some heavy lifting training at the beginning of the quarter on job qualification. And then when we do the job qualification training at the beginning of the quarter, we will release into the business a version of Myra, which is Myra, the job qual coach. And people can now use Myra to be able to ensure that as they're thinking about the challenges that they're facing, the victories that they're winning, the successes that they want to share, they can do that in a conversational tone, perhaps with their phone, or could still sit and do typey, right? No problem with that, really. But start to actually get coaching that has been fed into a custom GPT that at any moment on a real-time basis, I need some help with this job qualification. I'll talk to the coach. And we have faith in the coach because it has been trained how to coach effectively. And it has been trained how to coach effectively and given all of the source material that is the endorsed structures, systems, and processes that we want to ensure we are ironing into the behavior stack of our team so that we produce a more consistent set of standards that revolve around, in this business, this is how we onboard a client and this is how we qualify a job. So I think that it's got massive scalability as well. You could end up with half a dozen. Look at that. There, I can even put half a dozen in the air. You could end up with half a dozen different assistants that may revolve around parts of your process. It's very cool, people. And as I share all of this, it creates zero worry for me about me being redundant, AI taking my job. This enhances my ability to do the things that help businesses to become more productive, to become more efficient, to improve performance, to get the most humanness out of the humans that they employ. So from a coaching perspective, I still don't feel anything would replace sitting down with my manager to have a meaningful coaching conversation. As long as my manager knows how to coach and doesn't start coaching sessions with, that thing that you did yesterday didn't go very well, so let me tell you what I think you could have done differently. Because it's just a micro training session combined with a dig. And that doesn't help me to improve. It just reduces my willingness to experiment and do anything different because I know that you'll tell me what to do anyway. So maybe the AI assistant coach could outperform the average recruitment team leader who is so busy doing other things, they don't slow down enough to do the coaching. So folks, look, that's me kind of having shared all of the value proposition that I think sits inside Myra. That's me sharing with you the prompts. If you want me to show you more, if you want to experiment with Myra. Build your own, right? It is eight prompts, one PDF. And you could have your own up and running version of a well-instructed agile coach that you can now take on a dog walk, talk to when you're out in the car. The only restriction with the voice thing, maximum of 60 minutes in a single chat under the premium account. Once you get to 60 minutes, it says timeout. You either need to start a new chat, which would mean starting a new coaching session all over again, or it just becomes the end. But you could then go to keyboard if you wanted to tidy and clean it up. When you've done your chat with the coaching, you can then close the chat and say, I found this really useful. Could you give me a 5-point plan? Could you give me a summary? Could you give me a set of ideas that I could pin next to my monitor to be more mindful of these as I do my work? So it could then help you to create the furniture, the remember-alls, the things that matter to help to make that difference. Yeah, and look, Denny, I'm a little late to see what you've said. I know that Kirsty's replied to what you've said. It's such a nice thing to have as a solo. It's a nice thing to have even as an employed person, but yeah, as a solo, having somebody to actually feel like you're talking to them. I talk to my ChatGPT a lot, and I know it's a robot, and I know that it is responding to a series of words that it is interpreting as a computer. But I find that the conversational bit, I often now talk to my GPT and say, I just want to unload a load of stuff. Please don't take any inference of importance based upon the order that this is shared. I want to be able to get this out, and then together can we clean it? And then when we've cleaned it, can we come up with some options and answers? And it's brilliant for that, like truly brilliant. Like if I've got 100 ideas in my head about my website, I could go to Myra and say, hey, Myra, can we have a chat? Of course. Quick chat or something deeper, something deeper. I really want to get a load of ideas off my chest all about my website, and for you to interrogate me a little harder as a challenger so that I'm not off on a fool's errand making pretty pages that don't actually generate business. Wow. Yes. Is everyone good? Does anyone have any questions for me? Is there anything that I need to field in terms of inquiries or thoughts? Signposting things for you. Things that you need. I appreciate this is the last in the series, but if this is your first time turning up, hello. Things that you need. You do need to have a premium AI account, OpenAI, $20 per month, right? $20 a month. There are people who are selling tools that they have built in the same way that I'm describing this, and then put a slightly sexier user interface on it, and they're selling them for hundreds of pounds per month. And albeit they are responsible for the token usage, it's still something that I feel we can create with some good prompts. And I've given you the prompts. So you do need a premium account. And don't grumble about the $20, right? It is what it is. Then click to build your first custom GPT. Use all of the prompts in exactly the order that I've shared. You start to put them out of order, it'll start to get a bit Leaning Tower of Pisa, because it's logic on top of logic on top of logic. And it would become illogical, Dr. Spock, if we didn't put it in the right order. So make sure that you follow it. Prompt 1, prompt 2, which is why I've numbered them. All of the prompts sit inside the PDF guides. Grab it, save it, use it. And once you've built them as they are, copy them if you wish to do some professional messing about or experimentation. Because I've spoken to at least 3 people who've got part way through messing around with a build and saying, oh, I want to unpick it. How do I unpick it? You can't really unpick it. It's difficult to remove instructions. You're better off starting again. So if you're going to experiment, duplicate. And as you use them, there is the user guide. The guide tells you how to be able to get the most out of it. And I'm sure that as you build them, you might then start to think, oh, wouldn't it be good if there was one that did this? Wouldn't it be good if there was one that did that? If you've got ideas as to AI assistants that you think recruiters should have, go build it. If you've got ideas as to AI assistants you feel recruiters should have, and you're feeling generous, share with me, and maybe I could help you to build, because I enjoy the process. And if you've enjoyed the work that we've done together with this, if you found that the insights have been clear, the impact of the assistance has been strong, I do this every week, people. Every week I'm inside Rookie to Recruiter, sharing live ideas about how to deal with today's challenges, not just with AI. Like, AI is a cherry on top of my cake. The cake that I deliver is how to be able to improve performance, how to be able to drive productivity, how to be able to increase efficiency, how to re-engage with the semi-committed consultants, how to be able to re-inspire that middle group of consultants that it is possible to achieve more without it always being more calls, more emails, more hours, more sweat. Because I show people how to work with intelligence. And in January and February, we have live training. We have 30 live sessions on Rookie to Recruiter, much of which revolves around the sales enablement of these tools. So we'll be taking Orion, the case study builder, and I'll be showing people how do we now turn these case studies into money. We'll be taking the sales analyst. We'll be looking at how to be able to utilize Lyra and to start to investigate and create outreach campaigns to convert prospects in your market. We'll be looking at how to be able to use Vox to craft outreach campaigns. So we will be focused heavily on sales enablement, the utilization of these AI assistants. And if you want to be part of that, you're more than welcome to join. Drop me a DM and I'll explain how it all works. That's me kind of done, I think. I think I've signposted everything that you need. All the resources are in the hub. The hub is at aiforrecruiters.co.uk. If you have questions about the build, if you get stuck, there is a discussion board in the hub, and I will be going there momentarily. There is also the opportunity for you to simply DM me on here or drop me an email. I don't bite, don't be shy. I do these things because I am sincerely seeking to help people to achieve more. And particularly on this subject, I feel it is the one that is the most confusing, the most overwhelming, and the one which has got the greatest amount of individuals who seek to be trying to take advantage of that a little bit. And I feel that AI is a tool that everyone should have an opportunity to be able to understand without things like money being the barrier to adopting it in your business. So that's me done. Thank you very much for your support over these sessions. Thank you very much for your involvement. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you to the many of you who have sent me feedback and messages of gratitude for what we've been doing together. If I've not heard from you and you would like to drop me a message, please, it would be gratefully received. The fuel for me is the endorsement that, hey, it's been useful. That's gold for me, right? And it may encourage me to do it again and to do it again, right? So the hub itself, aiforrecruiters.co.uk, it will remain visible and available for people for a minimum of the next 3 months. There will still be opportunities therefore for people you know to join. You could give somebody a nudge who's maybe missed out on the whole thing. They're more than welcome to join in, start at the beginning, consume the materials, use the prompts, keep moving forward. We're nearly at Christmas. Nearly. But we're not there yet. And if you're starting to feel a little like weighed down, if you're starting to feel like you're ready for a break, put kettle on, have a cup of tea. Drink your cup of tea, and in the time that it takes to drink the cup of tea, you could have built Myra, 8 prompts. And then you could test Myra by putting Myra into empathic mode and say, hey, I'd like to have a chat because I'm feeling a little drained or I'm feeling a little frazzled. And Myra will ask you some really nice questions to help you to be able to get straight in your own mind where you're at, where you could be, and if you so desire, what maybe you could do today to start to feel as though you're making progress to it again, which I think is nice. Alrighty, people. Appreciate you. Thank you very much indeed. I'm sure that there will be more LinkedIn Lives over the course of next year. If you're not following me, follow me. If you are following me and you don't get to see all of my updates, double click the bell, because that gives you double the opportunity to see my things, apparently. And if we're not connected, drop me a connection request and let's get that fixed as well. Thank you very much, people. All good. Hey, thank you for watching. If you want to continue to get access to more high quality training and coaching ideas to help you to stay inspired as a recruiter, make sure that you like, make sure that you subscribe, and check out the description below for relevant links to tools, frameworks, and other ideas to keep you moving forward. And I look forward to seeing you on another one very soon.